Looks like we have some technical difficulties there, Oscar. Are we on air? Yeah, I think we're on air now. Well, welcome everybody to the IAG Live Streaming Show. It is Friday, the 21st of November, 2025, and you can see some Christmas decorations behind me in the office, lovingly applied by our accounting administrative assistant, Desi Petridis. Thanks, Desi, for making the office so Christmassy. Desi has redecorated the office with reindeer and other various Christmas things you can see in the office over there. Let's do the full spin around. There we go. And as always, we have our intrepid studio producer who's just on the other side of the office there at the moment, Oscar Guiaro. Come on in, Oscar.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Some technical issues at the start there.
It was everything okay. I think maybe, I don't know, some time warp.
Yeah, well, the music didn't come up for me until the very end, and then all of a sudden it said my mic was muted, but I was on the air. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're here now, and you can hear me okay?
Yeah, all perfect, all perfect.
Good. All right, Oscar, we will see you next week. Ciao.
See ya.
And to help me present the IAG live streaming show this week, we have, I wouldn't say as always, but as often, the managing editor of IAG, direct from Sydney, Australia, which has had some special news this morning we'll get to in a moment, Mr. Ben Blashke. Come on in, Ben.
Hey, Andrew, how you going?
Oh, very good. I see you got a shirt with a collar on today.
Yeah, I thought I should dress for the occasion today.
Dressed up.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Very good. You're in your place in Sydney?
I am, yeah. It's a bit of a rainy day today, so it's quite a good day to be inside and, just talking all things industry.
Yes, yeah. Look, let's get into it. We've got 10 stories for the viewers today that we're going to run through. Quite a busy week in gaming. We seem to say that every week, but this week has had some interesting stuff and some things that will the presence of those stories will be felt for many years to come, actually. So let's get into it. What's the first one, Oscar? We'll start off with this. So this is in chronological order of the week. This was Monday. You did this story. Bit of a tiff between China and Japan.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew, you may be able to talk a little bit about the historical context of this, but some comments from the new Japanese Prime Minister that were not well taken by China. China has retaliated by calling on its citizens not to go to Japan. The way to hurt countries can be to impact their tourism often. So, we saw some figures during the week about, 500,000 people that had booked flights to Japan had cancelled, and many flights cancelled. So, taking a bit of an economic impact reply to the situation.
Because Japan's such a dangerous country to go to, of course. That
was one of comments from China was talking about, Chinese citizens should be careful of their safety in Japan. I mean, I'm not sure that's a huge concern.
Yes, don't quite follow that one. It's probably one of the safest countries in the world to visit. I mean, you can leave your iPhone lying around. You can leave your wallet with money on the street, and somebody will pick it up and spend half a day trying to find you to return it. I mean, that's the kind of place Japan is. A very, very safe place. But look, historically, there has been let's be honest, bad blood between China and Japan over the years. It stems back all the way back from World War II, and actually even before, in between the wars. So it's been going on for a very long time. And I think we saw it in the industry in the Nagasaki process, where we thought probably Oshidori, which sounds like a Japanese company, was actually a Chinese company. We thought they were probably the best suited, well, I think they were pretty obviously the best suited to be given the all clear by the Nagasaki government to partner up with Nagasaki for them to join together and then apply for a license to the national government in Japan. But instead, Nagasaki chose Casinos Austria, who's probably nothing against the guys at Casinos Austria. They have a great little business, actually, but probably did not have the financial capability to pull off a $3 billion IR, and their proposal for Nagasaki was less than inspiring compared to Oshidori. So, but I think it was just a simple factor of, well, we don't want a Chinese company here. So there's been animosity over the years, and we've got this new prime minister who is the first ever female prime minister in Japan, and she is styles herself on Maggie Thatcher. Those of you that remember, those of you who remember, I should say, who remember Maggie Thatcher from the 1980s, the Iron Lady, very right wing. She's quite hawkish. So there could be a bit of animosity between China and Japan in the years ahead. All right, let's move on, Oscar. Next one. Yes, so Macau's been doing great in terms of GGR, in terms of gross gaming revenue, although we have had the national games in town for the past, well, the lead-up's been for the last few weeks and a couple of weeks, and they took up a lot of hotel rooms that could have otherwise been going to players. Any comments on this one, Ben, from your side?
Well, look, I mean, this was the view taken by one of the investment banks, Citigroup, I believe it was, from memory. I spoke to our Chinese journalist Pierce, who questioned whether that was really a reason.
Yep.
He knows. I mean, he's been writing about the national games for one of our other brands, New Macau, for the past couple of months. He's quite across everything that's happening there. He mentioned that a lot of the athletes and the staff are actually staying in a couple of the smaller hotels that have been set aside for them. So really minimal impact across the integrated resorts themselves. Probably GGR run rate moderating, perhaps a little bit more seasonality after such a strong October and strong early November. But look, generally, the general consensus is that November will be reasonably strong, certainly on a year-on-year basis, and then leading into a very strong December.
So it could be a bit of a beat up, this story. Maybe it wasn't really the case at all, just somebody's opinion. All right, well, let's move on. What do we got next? This is super interesting. DigiPlus entering the land-based arena, Ben.
Yeah, this is a really big story actually that emerged during the week. Of course, there had been talk that DigiPlus was looking to acquire a land-based operation. I mean, putting the numbers together, a lot of people had suggested City of Dreams Manila, perhaps. We know that Melco's 50% stake in that is on the market at the moment, potentially. But I had thought of New Coast as had crossed my mind as a possible. Where could they go?
Yep.
Where could DigiPlus buy into? Crossed my mind, hadn't really thought about it for a while, and then the news broke Tuesday or Wednesday morning that yes, they'd done a deal with International Entertainment Corp, the company that owns and operates New Coast and the casino there, that they will acquire a controlling stake. DigiPlus will acquire a controlling stake in IEC, therefore a controlling stake in New Coast. And of course, New Coast hotel, former PAGCOR run casino, now self-run by IEC, and they've pledged to spend between $1 billion and $1.2 billion US to transform that property into a true integrated resort style property, more hotel rooms, better facilities, larger casino space. So, look, this is a very strategic acquisition from DigiPlus, looking to diversify their interests away from being purely online. Obviously, there's some regulatory headwinds there in the Philippines. So this is an interesting step in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, we have now launched an online publication, Complete iGaming, and we will no doubt we are covering this in that as well. We try to keep the bricks and mortar stuff in IAG and the iGaming or the online stuff in Complete iGaming. But this one crosses over both. Quite interesting. So Philippines is a bit of crossover, and of course all of the integrated land-based integrated resorts, Solaire, Newport, Akata, Han, New Star, all launching online products, POGO, so-called POGO products, Philippines inland gaming operator products. So this crossover between online gaming and land-based gaming in the Philippines. And DigiPlus was the one company coming from the other side, coming from the purely online side and looking to, so everybody wants to have a foot in each camp. DigiPlus, by getting involved in online gaming, bricks and mortar gaming, I should say, rather, this changes their tax rate. So this lowers their effective tax rate because they then can claim to be an integrated resort. And this building, actually, quite interesting. This building's been a casino for a very long time. I remember going to this building 20 years ago when it was a Casino Filipino, a Padcore property. And then eventually it's gone over to IEEC. They've then applied for an IR license, a bit different to a casino license, where they pledge a certain amount of money and they pledge to upgrade the facilities to make it a fully fledged integrated resort. And now with DigiPlus's money, DigiPlus obviously flush with cash, given their success over the last few years. They can jump into bed with IEC or take over from IEC and turn this into something great. So we may have, on top of the existing Solaire North, Akata Manila, Newport World Resorts, and City of Dreams Manila, the 5 IRs currently in Manila, in Metro Manila, 2 of which belong to Solaire. We may have and West Side about to come as well, as the 6th, which will be another Newport property now. We may have a 7th we will have a 7th. We will have a 7th here in New Coast. So that's really interesting. Is the Manila market getting saturated? Well, only time will tell. So good luck to DigiPlus and Eusebio Tanko, number 29, I believe, on the Power 50 this year. Perhaps, Oscar, you can check that and send us a little message. I think it was 29. 29 on the Power 50 this year. Big jump up for him, given DigiPlus's success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, DigiPlus has been very active over the past couple of years with the growth of e-games. Also, they've got a license in Brazil. They've applied for a license in South Africa. So they're quite active globally at the moment and diversify their interests.
And DigiPlus, not to be confused with Casino Plus. The CEO of that, Evan Spitmar, a good friend of IAG's, when he's not stealing letters and running around Newport with them. Good friend of IAG, spoke at the IAG Academy Summit. Quite interesting, Evan's comments as well. So the companies are related. There are some common shareholdings, but actually not technically in the group. And I see their message from Oscar. Yes, he was 29. So congratulations to you, Eusebio Tanko. All right, let's move on. Next one. Yeah, Sri Lanka finally getting their act together, Ben.
Yeah, look, I mean, this has been discussed for close to a year now, Sri Lanka, to try and formalize the gaming industry, to create a regulatory authority, a proper authority to collect tax revenue, regulate the industry. There's been a couple of updates recently. They hope to actually form the regulator by middle of next year, properly get the regulator up and running. But of course, they've just announced that they want to have the act in place and regulations in place by the 1st of December this year. And a lot of this sort of stems back to, we've got properties like City of Dreams Sri Lanka opening. I know that the tourism departments over there would love to have a few more world-class integrated resorts in Sri Lanka as well to boost tourism. If they're going to do that, they do need probably a proper regulatory regime.
Man, I'm actually looking at going there in January. I haven't booked yet, haven't confirmed it yet, but I'm having a bit of a chat to Melco and might be going over there in January, which would be good because we should go and check it out and see it, and then we can write the story on City of Dreams Sri Lanka and report to the readership what it's all about, because I think everyone knows it's opened, but perhaps people not quite so aware of what the offerings are there and some more things around it. So that'd be good to do a story from there. Hopefully I get a chance to do that in January. Okay, all right. What's next, Oscar? Yes, this was one that sort of shocked me yesterday with the numbers. I'll let you do this one, Ben.
Yeah, look, this is a really interesting one. Manny Vilar, of course, was well known, has been the Philippines.
Oh my God, look at that. Look at that, 42,000 views.
Yeah, that's certainly caught some attention.
Isn't
Yeah, so
it
this
just?
story reported across quite a few news outlets, in Bloomberg and a lot of the Philippines outlets, and so there was quite a bit of interesting information scattered around the place about this. But ultimately, it comes down to Manny Vilar's company's purchased 366 hectares, I believe, of land to do with his mixed-use estate that he is developing over many years. And then the valuation of that estate after he purchased it went through the roof in terms of their financial accounts. So, look, their independent auditors took a look at that and said, this doesn't look right. There was a bit of a dispute.
Well, look at the numbers.
That.
What did you buy it for? 440 million or something?
Yeah,
you know, 88 million US he bought it for, and it was valued at 22 billion. So from 88 to 22,000 million. So trust your calculator at my side. 22,000 divided by 88, 250 exactly, it seems. So increase the value of it 250 fold. What's going on there?
That's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, that's just that. I can't believe that was ever expected to pass muster and didn't.
It's just insane.
Yeah. So I mean, look, one of the fallouts from this is that the financial accounts were delayed, but when they were released and showed that the profit that had been forecast previously ended up being nowhere near the actual reported profit when this valuation came back to more reasonable levels. And the share price has dropped down. So actually the bottom's fallen out of it, really would be the safer way to say it. The interesting thing is that with Manny Vilar losing around almost $20 billion US from his fortune, based on the math.
Well, not really losing, and probably artificially added 20 billion.
A fortune that never really existed. Exactly. But number one now in the Philippines is, of course, Enrique Razon moved up to number one spot. So he was very close to previously.
Well, there's a guy that really is rich. I mean, not saying Manny Vilar's not rich. Of course he is, but he's not that. He's not $20 billion piece of land rich. So Soler owner, of course, Enrique Razon Jr. Number one. Wow, back to number one. He was number one earlier in the decade, I think, or last decade. All right, well, let's move on from that kind of strange one. Okay, right. Yeah, this is your territory here, Ben.
Yeah, this is an interesting one that popped up yesterday. The Responsible Wagering Australia, industry body in Australia, released its findings of its latest study yesterday, which found that the value of the illegal offshore gambling market in Australia, or offering to Australians, is about 3.9 billion Australian, about 2.5 billion US annually at this stage, projected to rise to 5 billion Australian annually by 2029.
Wow.
And I thought, look, this high. I mean, for those that don't know, Australia has legalised online sports betting and lottery, but there is no legal online casino. There is no legal online poker. So obviously anybody that engages in those activities is doing so offshore. Of course, even with sports betting, there's no live in-play betting, or there is a mechanism to do it, but not by pressing a button. So, a lot of these measures are considered to be driving people to offshore sites. And I think this is sort of one of the purposes of this study, really, by RWA, is to highlight this. But it's a substantial figure.
Isn't it just 2.5 billion? I mean, I think the total Australian gaming market's around 5 billion. So if it represents a third of the market and potentially up to 50% of the market if it does increase up to 5 billion. So you know, as we've always said, it's always better to regulate, you know, to legalize and regulate. Otherwise, you're handing this gaming activity into the hands of people who, by definition, are prepared to break the law. So this is not good. All right, let's move on from the woes of Australia to the woes of Alice Gore. I watched a very interesting documentary from Bloomberg a couple of days ago about Alice Gore. It was quite detailed. Sent you the link, Ben. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it yet. Probably not. I think I just sent it to you yesterday, didn't I?
Yeah, I have not had a chance yet, but
Yeah.
of course, very timely with this.
Yeah, well, this happened, and then this happened the next day after the I saw the doco. About a 20-minute documentary, well worth watching. We probably should. Now that I've mentioned it, people will ask if anybody wants to know where to get that. Just go to our go to IAG's LinkedIn page and make a post and ask us, and we'll send you the link. Very, very interesting. But you covered this. I thought I'd send it to you because I know that while all this was going on, sort of a couple of years ago now, you were covering this story quite a lot. Yeah, so maybe Ben, you want to take everyone through Alice Gore and who turned out to actually be Chinese, even though she claimed to be a Filipina.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those stories that really captured the imagination of the entire Philippines when this was taking place. Of course, as you say, Alice Gore, she was the mayor of Bamban and Tarlac there, and was suspected of aiding and abetting a couple of illegal POGO hubs, we say, but scam hubs, let's say realistically. Suspected of human trafficking and all sorts of various illicit.
Yeah, pretty nasty stuff up there at Tarlac.
Yeah, so I mean, and then of course there was the case of, you know, it was discovered she was actually a Chinese national. Then she fled the country. She was arrested in Indonesia a couple of months later and brought back. You know, then she's obviously
who's going to make the movie? There's going to be a movie, surely.
It'd be a great movie, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
look, it's all come full circle, and yeah, yesterday the news broke that she's been jailed for life.
Well, you know, I hate to say it, but good. You know, it was pretty nasty, some of the stuff that went up there. I'm just watching that doco the other day from Bloomberg. They went to Bam Bang, obviously, and interviewed people. She had supporters because she had done some good works there, which typically these people do. They will get the money and do, you know, throw bags of rice around and do a few things to get a bit of public support. She turns out her real name was Guo Hua Ping. She came over from China as a young girl of, I think, about 12 years old, learnt Tagalog and passed herself off as a Filipina, but actually was sort of had a very shady past. There's no real records of her early life. And then fill in with these guys, these Chinese guys who were running this scam hub. I mean, it's such a shame. Pogo's actually really got, we've mentioned this before, we'll just mention it again. It's so unfortunate the name Pogo got attached to these scam hubs, because really had nothing to do with online gambling at all. It was all about love scams, cryptocurrency scams, investment scams. And so basically these compounds got created with people held against their will and forced to scam people under the guise of a Pogo. This was, you know, if anyone came along and said, well, what is this crazy, great big compound you've got here with a huge fence around it and dormitories, and there's obviously people inside. You know, I think there were 36 buildings in the compound. I mean, that's how big it was. And this is a Pogo hub, you know. So the name Pogo, which I've often said was a victim of its own catchiness. Very, you know, only 4 letters, very easy to put in a newspaper headline, rhymes, sounds good. You know, Pogo sort of got victimized by these it wasn't online gaming at all. It was much more heinous acts and involving human trafficking and so forth. And she has been found to have been a major player in that Pogo hub that was in the place that she was the mayor of. And, you know, I think she deserves to have the book thrown at her. Now, she's quite attractive. She's young. She's female. People look at that and go, oh, really? Could such a person do that? Well, absolutely, such a person can do that. So, yeah, I think it's good to see this sort of action against these sort of people, and hopefully one day online gaming can come back to, if not the Philippines, at least some jurisdiction in Asia that takes it seriously, and they protect and they stop this sort of thing getting started before, getting going before it even gets started.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the cases that really led to the downfall of POGO. This and a couple of other cases which really put this negative publicity forward. It's really highlighted what was being perpetrated under the guise of POGO. Really led to the downfall of the POGO industry. And just interesting, Andrew, too, that as well as the sentencing of Alice Guo for life, the judges also found they put the compound back into government hands. So the government now is taking control of that very large compound that you spoke of.
All right, let's move on. What's next, Oscar? Well, this just came out late yesterday afternoon, and SJM going with Lark as they promised, but not going with Ponte 16 as they promised.
Yeah, it's been interesting to sort of find a little bit more about what happened with Ponte 16, because SJM had highlighted earlier in the year that they were interested in acquiring both of these satellite casinos.
Well, let me interrupt you. I don't think they said that they were interested. I think they said that they were going to buy them. They said it in a positive. It wasn't even just an interested. It's a we are going to do it, wasn't it?
Well, it was they were intending to enter negotiations to do so. Whether that
Okay.
Yeah, so they flagged an intention to do so, but it depended on negotiations. Obviously, for whatever reason, negotiations with their partner in Ponte 16, Success Universe, fell through. We don't really know the full details of that just yet. But Lark, of course, owned by Angela Long, they have followed through with, so they will retain that. They will make that a wholly owned property under SJM, strategically located in the heart of the action there on the peninsula, Andrew, as well. And there's a while there where you lived in that building actually as well.
I did live in that building, yes, and you came and stayed with me on a number of occasions. So I lived near the top of that building, and I think you and I were the only Guaylos in the entire building. And but great location, right next to, in between Star World and MGM, opposite Wynn. And that property opened while I was after I arrived in Macau. I think it opened 2010, 2011, something like that. And now fully owned by SJM, as it has to be. So what does that give SJM? They've got obviously GLP, Grand Lisboa Palace, Grand Lisboa, and Lisboa, the old Lisboa, the main three. They'll now have Lark, and they've also got Oceanus near the ferry terminal. Is that it, the 5?
That is the 5. Of course, we've also, with Ponte 16 now confirmed to be shutting down its casino next week. That will leave 3 more satellites still operating at the moment, but of course there can be no more satellites by the end of the year. By the 1st of January, there'll be no more in operation. So at this stage, we expect those 3 will close down. Could SJM change their focus to a Landmark or one of the others potentially?
Well, I think those 3 are Comeback. We're just across the road from our office here. Fortuna, and what's the other? Help me out here.
Landmark.
Landmark, right? So Fortuna has always been, in this little area near where our office is, this sort of old part of Macau. There's a lot of the satellites have been centered around this area, kind of the sort of strip, the walking street that runs east-west, kind of behind Yao Yi Damat Lo, the Friendship Road. And Fortuna has typically been seen as the most profitable and the biggest revenues. It actually goes all right, Fortuna. So I wonder if they might at last minute think about it. But then again, there are some ownership issues there as well, in terms of the gentleman that owned it is no longer available. I think he is at somebody's pleasure somewhere. So I think his daughter's running it. I can't remember. Don't hold me to that. But so they've expressed no interest in getting it, have they? So Fortuna, Landmark, quite a well-known landmark, sort of opposite Star World, roughly, and Gumbek belonging to Paradise, the Macau Paradise, not the Korean Paradise. We always have to make it clear there's 2 paradises in our industry. The whole industry is paradise, right? So interesting. Well, those 3 got to close by the end of the year. So let's see. I suspect Comeback will hold out to the very last minute. Every dollar that they can make right up to midnight on December 31. Maybe not. Let's see. All right. Interesting. So that will get us. How many casinos will that get us down to? Around 30. I remember at one stage there was nearly 50. There was 40, 45 or something in Macau. So we're down to just the genuine. There were 5 for. Let's do it. 5 for SJM, and then there's 5 for Sands, and then there's 2 for Galaxy 2 and 2. So actually, even less than 30, isn't it? No, 30 was with the satellites. We might be down to about 20. We probably should. Yeah, we probably should do a list, shouldn't we? Yeah. Oh, interesting. All right, let's move on. This is a very timid estimate. They're very weak in their estimates, aren't they?
Yeah, this is very, very timid estimate. I mean, we're currently tracking to come in close to 250 billion this year, just under perhaps in 2025. Yeah. General consensus is that all things being normal, there'll be a little bit of growth next year. So yeah, this is certainly a very, very, as you say, a very timid forecast from the government for next year. I guess they've been a little bit careful in their budgeting. It's always nice to meet your budget.
Yep, exactly. Well, there's some people might not know, but Macau has no recourse to mainland China for its budget, for its annual budget. So it must be self-funding. Now it can treat a transfer from its reserves into general consolidated revenue as revenue for a year. But under the mini constitution, the basic law that was developed at the handover on the 20th of December 1999, Macau cannot run a deficit. It can only run, it has to at least break even or run a surplus, which was actually the driving force behind the original liberalisation in the first place by Edmund Ho back around that time that led to Win and the Galaxy Venetian partnership. Well, some people may not know that the 2 new concessionaires on top of STDM, the Stanley Ho monopoly. So originally we went from 1 to 3. STDM, the Stanley Ho monopoly, which became SJM, and then Win, and then the Galaxy Venetian partnership. Originally they were partners, but then not long after that they busted up, which led to the concept of sub-concessionaires and how we got from 3 to 6 concessionaires. So I guess that's why they're a little bit timid on that. They just want to make sure they really do come in at that number, but they'll easily bust that number. Unless China turns the tap off of flow of people to Macau for some reason, which we see no evidence of, do we, Ben?
No, we continue to be strong. October was a post-pandemic high for GGR. There's no indications that anything is tracking anywhere near below what expectations are for the remainder of the year. The forecast from industry analysts is pretty positive looking forward. So yeah, I think that they'll comfortably meet that budget.
And I think mainland China is quite happy with Macau at the moment. I think we've kind of got rid of the junkets, or we've got rid of the most problematic aspects of the junkets. Capital flight is not the issue that it used to be. So I think Macau is kind of in a good place right now, particularly post-COVID. Come out of COVID, our GGR is tracking at what is it? Must be the 85, maybe about 85% of 2019 levels, but without junket commissions to pay. So in fact, obviously better, even though it's 85%. The EBITDA would be better, 2/3 of the high watermark in 2013 as well, which was during a heavy junket revenue time as well. So Macau's in a really good place. So share prices should be going up, but that's a function of how the Americans see China right now. So anyway, let's move on. What's next, Oscar? I think we're just about done, aren't we? Oh, the big news from this morning.
Yes, well, this was rumoured to be on the verge earlier this week.
Yep.
So I was keeping an eye out this morning, and I just sort of went and had a quick look at the New South Wales regulatory website and noticed they had just posted a statement announcing that they had obviously cleared Bally's. Bally's had received probity approval from regulators in New South Wales and in Queensland. So the 2 regulatory bodies worked together on probity for Bally's, and they came out this morning and said, yep, we've cleared Bally's, we've cleared Bruce Matheson Investment Holdings to take a large stake, I think once that happens and they convert their notes into actual shares, that the two companies working together, Bally's and Investment Holdings, will own around about 60% of Star, give or take, with Bally's having about 38% of that. So
yeah, I think
this is
56%. I think 56% stuck in my head as a number. I think it was
I've seen a
56.
number. I've actually seen quite a few numbers. I've seen anything from 57 up to 61. So
Okay.
it may depend on how things are converted, whatever. Anyway, so it's somewhere in
Sure.
that ballpark. But I guess the main thing is that this is very important for Star. Star had listed in their recent financial results, in fact, in their past 2 or 3 results, that survival requires a number of things going right for them. This is one of the main ones. They needed this rescue package from Bally's and Investment Holdings to go through, which required probity.
Well, why didn't they do it in the first place? They kind of fought it tooth and nail there for a while until it was the only option left for them, and then they embraced it. They should have embraced it from the start. Look, I think this is great for Star. You look at what Crown's done in remediating the situation. I mean, if you just go back, won't wax lyrical for too long, but you just go back, in Australia as a whole was in a really, really bad place after those reports in 2016, 17, whatever it was, 18 maybe. And the 3 big companies, Star, Crown, and Sky, all in trouble. Sky's sort of sorted its problems out. Crown's definitely sorted its problems out and got its license back in all 3 jurisdictions. And this is the turning point for Star. This is a real, actual change. And Star have dilly-dallied around. They fought everything tooth and nail. They haven't worked with the regulator. They haven't worked with Nicholas Weeks, the what is he, special manager, they call it there in New South Wales. We've seen the second inquiry, and it was worse than the first. But this is a real change, and this is a company that is completely outside of the situation, a company with gaming experience. Look, say what you like about Bally's. Bally's does have its detractors, but what company doesn't? They're doing a lot. They're doing New York. They're doing Chicago. They've got interests in the UK. They've got some lottery interests, iGaming interests, but they are a real company. They are a real gaming operator. I've done a number of interviews with Sue Kim. Seems like a very decent guy. I know he has his fans, and he also has his detractors. But you can't make a cake without breaking eggs. And anyone who's done well in life is probably going to have a few detractors. But he seems to get off his bum and get shit done. So good on him. And they've got a track record of picking up unusual assets that are a bit distressed and turning them around. Well, that's perfect for Star. So I think he will be chomping at the bit or chafing at the bit, I should say. He will be chafing at the bit to get in there, see the books. He probably only had very limited access to the books so far. See the books, see what consultants are on the payroll and probably need to get off the payroll, who's sort of at the teat and sucking money out of Star, and how they can get it efficient, because the GGR there is okay. It's over $1 billion. Not as much as it was before because of the regulatory changes that maybe, Ben, you might comment on. And Ben, some comments, you know this property quite intimately. I mean, you're there in Sydney on the ground. Some comments on Sydney versus Gold Coast versus Brisbane, and where they might start and what you think they might do.
Yeah, look, I mean, Sydney has always been the flagship for Star. It's in the most popular city. It's the biggest property. It's undergone significant renovations over the past decade, and it's actually quite a decent property. I mean, before all of this turmoil happened over the past 6 or 7 years, it was running quite, very profitably, actually, quite a good property. And then up on the Gold Coast there, bit of a different vibe, more of a holiday beach feel. Some very good poker tournaments run up there with World Poker Tour up at the Star Gold Coast there. And both properties very profitable. I haven't actually seen the Brisbane property yet. Haven't been up there since it opened about a year ago now. But yeah, so Star certainly has the assets that can do very well. There are some factors out of their control. Obviously, there are certain restrictions around play in their property that are not applied to the pubs and clubs of Sydney or Queensland. That is very challenging for them at the moment. So, we hope there's a level playing field one day that will give Star a bit more of of a look back in. But I think the thing for Star is that, you know, if they look at the example of Crown, I think Crown showed that what they had to do was basically start from scratch, clean house, clean slate, start from scratch, admit their mistakes, recognize the hard work they have to do, and just take that long, hard road back. And I think Star should take some solace in the fact that Crown recently showed that it's quite profitable again. They've returned to profitability. So they've shown that it can be done. So if Star, I mean, it's going to be, again, it's Star's really at the start of this pathway still. They should be further along than they are, but they're not. So there's still a long road ahead for Star, but I think they can look at Crown and say it's achievable. We can get back to a profitable company.
Yeah, if they hadn't dilly-dallied around for the past 3, 4, 5 years, they'd probably be almost there by now. But they did. So, you know, it's time to move on. And I think, you know, I mean, heads are going to roll on that property. He's going to bring in his new team, and as he should. And you know, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? And Star hasn't really remediated very much at all. They don't communicate. That's another problem. They don't communicate with the people of New South Wales, the people of Sydney. They're very defensive when they do communicate, or when their communications get leaked, which they often do. The place leaks like a sieve. So yeah, anyway, good luck to Sue Kim and his team at Bally's. It is Americans going into Australia, which is always a bit of a thing. Australians might be a little defensive on that, but they'll be given a chance. And I think the people of New South Wales in particular, and Queensland, know that Star is in very shaky ground. And here's they hang out the under new management shingle out, and they'll give them a chance. They'll be given a chance. So if they respond well and do some good stuff, and they're very authentic in what they do, and they just go through the steps, I think there's a really good opportunity here for Bally's to pick up what could actually be a considerable flagship asset for a relatively cheap price, because they got it in a distressed situation, and they dragged Star out of that distressed situation, because it's only 300 million, and this is a company that was valued at 4.7 billion at one stage, maybe 5 or 6 years earlier, maybe more like 6 or 7 years earlier. So yeah, maybe there's hope yet for your Star shares, Ben.
We'll see, Andrew. I don't hold out much hope.
Are they still 11 cents?
I haven't checked for a long time.
Oh, you can't bring yourself to look.
No. No.
Very good. I think that's the last story, is it, Oscar? Good luck with those shares, Ben. It is indeed. Well, look, thanks for persisting. We like to go through our stories in some detail and offer some insights. So that was another great week's work by you, Ben. We are really on the home stretch for the end of the year. Desi's Christmas decorations are up in the office, and we've got Mad, of course, on the 5th of December, Friday, the 5th of December, just 2 weeks away now. So 2 weeks from today, at Wynn Palace. Our friends at Wynn Palace are hosting us there. All the gang from Wynn will be there, which is great. And then the following Friday the 12th, we will be at Solaire at BRB, formerly the Baccarat room and bar downstairs there at the front of Solaire Entertainment City. Great little room, nice little Chesterfields, and a bit of a whiskey vibe there, a little stage with some entertainment. So that'll be a great little event on the evening of Friday the 12th of December. And then our office will break up on the 19th, and we'll be back hitting the ground running on Monday, the 5th of January. What are you doing over Christmas, Ben?
Not much at this stage, Andrew. Just have a bit of a break. Yeah, very little planned, which is the way I like it. Just sit back,
right,
relax, catch up on Netflix. That's about it.
Oh, that's nice. No trip to Adelaide this year. That's every second year, right? You go to Adelaide?
Yeah, every couple of years. Head to Adelaide, not this year.
Fair enough. No worries. All right. Well, that's it from us for this week. Thanks to Oscar. Thanks to all the team at IAG. And we'll see you next week on Friday. And that will be the morning of the... no, it won't. It'll be another week to go, sorry, before Mad. But that'll be Friday the 28th of November. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. And it's bye from IAG. See you next week. Bye for now. Ciao.
Bye.